This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we ask the tough questions.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs?
We're never afraid to tell you how we feel.
Come on, we look like the damn bad news bears.
We'll debate sports. We'll debate anything.
Man, you lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. Not the way out. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he did not.
No matter what, Tobacco Road Sports Radio has you covered.
I'm going to come right back at him. Soldier.
You're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Franken. What a fun, full-packed show we have for you tonight. We're obviously going to go over the huge games that will play this weekend in championship games between the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Rams and the 49ers. And then later on, we are proud to have two great guests with me. Former NFL linebacker Faryniarz is going to be joining us to play for the Rams, the 49ers, the Houston Oilers, and the Carolina Panthers. And then following him, we're going to have former New Orleans Saints quarterback Fourcade joining us. So a fun, full night ahead of us. A lot of guests on tonight. If you have any comments, go to the comment section. We also want to remind you, we are now on Roku TV. All you have to do is go to your Roku TV. If you have a smart TV, download Northeast Streaming Sports. That's right, Northeast Streaming Sports. And then you can watch us every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, what a great weekend. You know, folks, I'm going to tell you something. I remember when the playoffs started this year, the wild card series. And after that wild card series was played, everybody talked about, oh, look at these teams in it. It's not that great of action. Ever since the trap was opened up by all these people, we have had nothing but games that have gone down to the wire. And yesterday, folks, was no different as all of you got to witness two terrific games. And let's go ahead and we'll start out with the Chiefs and the Bengals here. You know, for those of you, I mean, obviously everybody knows now the Bengals win on an Evan McPherson 31-yard game-winning field goal. And I'll tell you what, folks, this kid is incredible. Evan McPherson, a rookie taken in the 5th round, and he has been nothing but money for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this was a game where the Bengals trailed by 18 points. 18 points in this game, and they came all the way back, led by Joey Burrows. Jamar Chase just played excellent football. And then the Chiefs kicker, Harrison Butker's, a 44-yard field goal to send it into overtime. But a lot of this game, believe it or not, was won by the defensive side of the football of the Bengals being able to stop Patrick Mahomes from getting a touchdown in that fourth quarter and a couple other big plays throughout that game. The Chiefs, in overtime, they won the coin toss, but then at 3 plays into overtime, Von Bell intercepted Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs had a chance at a winning touchdown in the closing seconds of regulation, but sacks, consecutive plays, and we talked about that defense by Sam Hubbard, held them to a field goal to allow it to go to overtime. And then Joe Burrows, 23 of 38, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. What a great game he has. He led that field goal drive in overtime to win it. The Bengals win 27-24. Joe Mixon, 88 yards on the ground, including 21 on the final 48 yards of the game. T. Higgins, 6 catches, 103 yards. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes played a good game, but that interception, he had 2 costly turnovers in this game. 26-39, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times by the Bengals. Travis Kelce, we told you before this game that one of the things the Bengals struggle with is guarding the tight ends on defense. And that was evident yesterday. Travis Kelce, 10 of receptions, 95 yards, 1 touchdown. But the big key for the Bengals on offense, listen to this statistic, folks. The Bengals yesterday was 8 of 14. That's right. 8 of 14. They were on third down conversion, and that's a formula for success. But you got to see a side that a lot of people don't see, which is Bengals defense. And I'll tell you what, this Sam Hubbard was amazing near the end of the game. He actually saved the Bengals and allowed them the chance to go to the Super Bowl, because without him, it would be the Chiefs going on to the Super Bowl. So a huge win, a big win by the Bengals, 27-24. Joey Burrows once again leading the team, and they are going to play in SoFi Field 2 weeks from yesterday. So 13 days from today, they'll be playing in the Super Bowl. Now, there was another game yesterday to decide who goes to the Super Bowl, and that was obviously between the Rams and the 49ers, as we bring that up to you here. And, you talk about every single game going to overtime or won by a field goal. Yesterday, Matt Gay, 30-yard field goal to win the game for the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, this is the second time, 2 years in a row now, and only the second time in an NFL where a team is hosting the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers last year in Tampa, the Rams this year in SoFi Field in LA. But I'll tell you what, the difference in this game was the second half, the Rams defense came to play. They were simply awesome in this game. They shut out the 49ers in the second half. They were trailing by 10 points going into the fourth quarter. They picked up Jimmy G to steal this game at the end of the game. Eric Weddle, what a game. 9 tackles, was all over the place. And Donald and Von Miller were giving him some Jimmy G, pressuring him all day long. Well, they didn't get a sack. They were around him and causing him to be distracted throughout the game. Now, meanwhile, this offense of the Rams came up strong in the second half. Matthew Stafford, 31 of 45, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rams, we told you about the Bengals' success on third down. How about the Rams? 11 of 18 on third down conversion. They won the time of possession battle, 35 minutes and 39 seconds. For the 49ers, who only had it for 24 minutes and 21 seconds. Meanwhile, both Kelsey and Debo Samuel did have touchdowns for the San Francisco 49ers. But listen to this, man. Cooper Kupp, 11 receptions, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham, everybody's saying he's nothing but trouble. He can't play in a team atmosphere. Well, he proved all of you wrong. 113 yards, 9 receptions, an unbelievable game by Odell Beckham Jr. But the guy that really stood up for me was Blanton. This guy, Kendall Blanton, who had, came into tight ends because there was an injury to the starting tight end. He comes in, he gets 5 receptions, 57 yards, and had some huge plays in that game that was very, very, effective for the Rams. Big part of that game, getting him into the offense. I thought Cam Akers, he had all, you look at statistics, 48 yards, but Cam Akers in that second half was running the ball pretty solid in that game. Sonny Michael wasn't doing much, but he did get more touches than he did the previous week. But overall, this Rams team, they were trailing by 10 points, 17-7. They stuck in there. And I'll tell you what, if we talked about Jimmy G everywhere he goes, and Jimmy G possibly could have played his last game in a 49ers uniform. We're not sure where he's going to go, but, he probably has played his last game as a San Francisco 49er. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford in his first year with the Rams, what'd they go? 12-5. He takes them to the Super Bowl. Folks, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, 31 of 45. What an unbelievable game for Matthew Stafford. And the Rams brought him over for one reason. They brought him over to get them to the Super Bowl. And guess what? He got him there. So now, folks, what does that mean? That means 2 weeks from today, the Super Bowl matchup is all set up and it's ready to go in SoFi Field in LA. It's going to be 6:30 p.m. game time. The Bengals at the Rams. And throughout next week, we'll go ahead. We'll preview this game more. But, it's going to be an unbelievable Super Bowl, which we'll have broken down for you all next week. But we're going to go ahead, take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have former NFL linebacker Brett Faryniarz is going to be joining us live. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be back right after this message.
Father Time is undefeated. It's going to hit Tom Brady eventually, too. It might be this year. Hopefully it's this year.
And Matt LaFleur went to both of them and said, hey, remember that play you drew up on notebook paper on Thursday? Yeah, run it now.
Like, that's the thing that's kind of tripping me up here. We've been clowning Kyrie Irving and his behavior for the past 5 years. I feel like I just got a point, like on a show or something. 3, 2, 1, Kerrsville. You've got state champions coming back home. The East Forsyth Eagles have just won Class 4A state championship. On the line with NASCAR superstar Bubba Wallace. Bubba, what type of music are you listening to right now? Do you listen to anything particular to get you hyped before a race?
I'm in like the heavy metal stuff, like the screamo stuff, the stuff you can't understand. That's right up my alley.
Tie game at 41. Murph takes the snap. Fade. Right corner of the end zone for Timmons. He bobbled it and then honed it in the right corner of the end zone. Terrell Timmons Jr.
TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home.
You are watching Frankly Speaking Sports, live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank. Hope you're all enjoying the show. Once again, we want to remind you, we are on so many different outlets right now. We are on Northeast Streaming Sports, Roku TV under Northeast Streaming Sports. Go ahead, download Northeast Streaming Sports to your smart TV, and you can watch us live. We're on YouTube Live, Twitter Live, Twitch. We're on Facebook. We are on Tobacco Road sportsradio.com, and we will have a replay of this tomorrow on Tobacco Road sportsradio.com beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor, my great thrill, and a great pleasure to introduce to you now, coming to us live via satellite in our Frankly Speaking Sports studio. Let's welcome in former NFL linebacker Brett Faryniarz. Brett, how you doing tonight? But whoops, I thought I had him. Let's see.
I'm here.
All right. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Brett, first of all, thank you so very, very much taking time out of your schedule to join us today. I got to ask you, yesterday, not too long ago, probably about 24 hours ago, your team, the Los Angeles Rams, wrote their path to the Super Bowl 56. Tell me about that moment and how special is it?
Man, it was incredible. Something inside of me just said the Rams are going to beat the Niners, and we're going to take revenge from 33 years ago. It really wasn't revenge; it was more like payback, But we went on a playoff run in '89, and we won a couple games on the road, and then went up to San Francisco and laid an egg. 33 years ago, I was on the field, and now this time around, they're the ones who came to our hometown, and we ended up having a pretty good game against them. So it was nice. It was our time to shine.
Brett, you were known as a solid quarterback sacker. Talk about when you think about putting pressure on the quarterback and being a sack master. Talk about the presence of what Aaron Donald teamed up with Von Miller means to this LA Rams team.
Man, it's amazing. They have a few other guys that can get after the quarterback too, but those two guys, you just can't focus on one. So you can't double team and then leave the other guy one-on-one. That creates all kinds of problems for the quarterback. So that's a special deal. When they picked him up, man, they got a great acquisition in Von Miller. He really has helped this team, this defense.
There's no doubt about that. And, I was reading a story about when you were playing in college. I believe it was San Diego State University you played for. And they talked about Troy Aikman opening up his mouth about the defense at San Diego State. And, rumor has it you had something to say about it when you played UCLA in the Rose Bowl. How fulfilling was it? You got to admit it. Had to be fulfilling to knock him on his butt a couple of times in that Rose Bowl.
I hung a couple sacks on him that day, and the offensive tackle that I had gone against, he was a transfer also, I believe, from SMU, and his claim to fame was he's never given up a sack, and we got him in the Rose Bowl. I hung 2 on him that day. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. When you were with the Rams back in, I believe it was 88 to 91 or somewhere in that area, you played with one of my favorite, and nothing against anybody in the NFL, but I was a big Kevin Green fan. Talk about what it was like to play with Kevin Green. I mean, it left us way, way too early, but talk about what it was like to play along with Kevin Green on that defense of the Rams.
It was amazing. This playoff run brings back memories from 1989. But my rookie year, the very first game that I got thrust into a lot of action was against the San Francisco 49ers at home with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Roger Craig and all those guys. And Mike Wilshire goes down. He was a starter. He went down with a concussion midway through the first quarter. I step in, and Kevin Green is just high-fiving me and just getting me pumped up. And he had me just geeked that whole game. I had probably 10 tackles against Roger Craig, and I attribute a lot of that to Kevin Green, just my mentor. First day of practice, the veterans come in, and he's a big pass rush advocate. The Rams are looking for a pass rusher. I line up and pass rush against Jackie Slater just in practice, but I threw a spin on him, came in and got a sack on the quarterback, and Kevin got in my face. He's like, "Faryniarz, you know what you just did?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a sack." He goes, "No, you got a sack against a future Hall of Famer." And he was just going crazy, man. And I love that guy. We had so many good times, so many conversations. The morning of the day of when he passed away, Sean Miller, a bunch of other guys, we all got together, about 17 of us, on a big text trail. And we were just sharing stories and laughing and saying, "Hey, brother, I love you, man. It's great to hear from you." And it was just a moment to really to just remember him by, and it was just amazing. It was incredible. It was like his way of sending off, and it was something special.
Yeah, and he was something special to watch as well. Brett, when you played linebacker, so I want to ask you this question. I'm watching the game yesterday, and Kyle Shanahan of San Francisco, the head coach, offensive genius, just like Sean McKay is of LA, but he was picking on a linebacker named Troy Reader, as you know, and yesterday he gave up 5 receptions for 73 yards. All 5 of those receptions were for first down. You, as a former linebacker, if you were talking to Troy today, that game, yes, is over, but what kind of advice would you give him moving forward after having a tough game like that yesterday? Now, they won, so that helps, but what would you say to him?
Yeah, they did. Just trust the defensive scheme, play within, and just get after the quarterback. And a lot of times it's not just on one guy, but it's a combination of a lot of things. You got to get pressure on that quarterback. He can't have perfect throw. He can't sit back in the pocket and just pick you apart. So I just say, hey, hang in there. Trust the defensive scheme that you have, and just do your drops, do your progressions, and it'll work out. So.
Now, Matthew Stafford picked up at the beginning of before the beginning of the year. What has this guy meant to this team, getting them to the Super Bowl this year?
Oh man, he's the missing element that we needed. For whatever reason, Goff didn't get it done in the big games, and this guy's not really battle tested when it comes to Stafford, when it comes to playoff games. But you know what? He stepped up. He did it. And our coach saw something. McVay saw something in him that he just loved, and he said, "Hey, I'm willing to give up a couple draft picks and a young quarterback for him," and it paid off. We're in the show.
Yeah, and deservingly so. Meanwhile, you're going to be playing, speaking of that, you're going to be playing the Cincinnati Bagels. This is a team 2 weeks ago that the Titans sacked 9 times. Now, yesterday, the Rams, although they were all around, the Chiefs, didn't get to them that many times.
Yeah.
What do you think it feels like it's a potential for Aaron Donald and that defensive line to have a feast against that offensive line of Joey Burrows, although they did protect him okay yesterday.
Yeah, they did a lot better, but we need to if we need to bring 5 or 6, we need to bring 5 or 6 because that quarterback is good. He's a sophomore this year, second year player, and he can get after it. He's confident, but you know what? A veteran pass rushing squad like we have, we get after him early, we rattle him. He's only a second year player, so he can get rattled, and hopefully he will.
Yeah, I thought one of the guys that really stepped up yesterday that really wasn't given a lot of notice was Kendall Blanton, the tight end, who had to play most of the game after the starting tight end got hurt. Big. I mean, everybody knows about. I mean, I can't say enough about Cooper Kupp. I mean, The guy is just unbelievable. Odell Beckham Jr. with 113 yards yesterday, and then Blanton with 5 big catches yesterday. The offense was looking pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, they were. They were running the ball. We were moving the ball. Higbee, that was a big blow that we lost, but I'm not sure the status on him if he's going to be back or not, but it seemed like he transitioned his power to this new guy, this new tight end, and he took over. When one guy's down, a good team, another the next guy steps up, and that's what happened when Wilshire went down. I came in and I stepped in, and you're ready. The starter goes down, and next man up. You got to perform. So he did, and it's a great outcome.
Yeah, and I thought Cam Akers, after that horrendous game in Tampa where he fumbled 2 times, yet they still found a way to win that game with 3 turnovers in that game. I thought Cam really came back and showed a lot yesterday. Ran hard in the second half and no turnovers for Cam Akers.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just hold on that ball in a big game, and when you don't need to make huge plays. You just make sure you just don't mess it up with fumbles. Turnovers is key. Turnovers and sacks and big plays like that, interceptions. That's key for us to do on defense, and don't give it up on offense. And we're a good enough team that we can beat anybody.
Now, Brett, if I'm correct, like you said with those Rams teams, you did play in the playoffs before.
Yes.
Now, talk about the difference. I mean, we all know the higher level because it's the playoffs, but from a player's perspective, when you go into a game, now it's going to be a Super Bowl, so even bigger and higher, more people watching. What is it like, the main difference between playing in the playoffs, playing regular season, and how do you go about making sure you keep your composure and not get too carried away in the moment?
Yeah, it's focus. You're making a playoff run, and it's do or die every game. And the key is just execute. Have poise, have confidence. Just know that you've stuck it out all year. You need to hit on all 8 cylinders, and there's no time for errors. And you just hone in. When we made a playoff run, we went back east. We had to beat the New England Patriots in Week 16 to qualify for the playoff game, and we had to go back back east to Philadelphia to beat the Eagles and Buddy Ryan. Then we had to go back east again to beat New York and Bill Parcells and that squad. And those were special teams, and we did it in dramatic fashion. And we came back and we went up north to San Francisco. But the key was we were just tired. We were tired out by the end of the playoff run, going back east 3 weeks in a row. And I think we lost our focus. So the key is just, staying fresh, staying focused, and executing, and just coming together as a family,
Now, how do you think this secondary of the Rams match up against all these weapons of the Cincinnati Bengals? And, specifically, you got Jamar Chase, you got Tyler Boyd, you got Higgins on that team, who's really good. How do you think this defense matches up versus them?
I think the defense matches up quite well. We've got a lot of speed, and we brought in a retired ball player and was it Weddle, I believe?
Weddle.
Weddle. And then we just can't leave them on an island though, because they're professionals. The offense is good, and we need to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback so he's not making perfect throws. Because in the NFL, if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, man, he's got time to step and just pick you apart. So there's only so much you can do with a great defense and great DBs.
Yeah, and you talk about Weddle yesterday. That's Eric Weddle. He had 9 tackles in that game and was all over the place. Had a great game. So in closing, let me ask you this, Brett. What do you think are the keys? And we mentioned them here and there throughout, but what do you think is the key for the LA Rams to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl?
I think, no major blunders, turnovers especially, executing on special teams as well. We have a good special team unit, and good ball control, and I think just pounding on the rock, just running against them and get pressure on their young quarterback. I think that's the key. And I know their kicker is a good young kicker, and he's cocky. So maybe give him something to think about.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, are you still out there in LA?
I'm in Orange County. Yeah, close enough.
So are you going to be going to the Super Bowl?
No, I've never been to a Super Bowl. I usually just elect to watch them with family and friends at home. But I will be doing a lot of the festivities, a lot of the events leading up to the Super Bowl. So I'll be in a couple golf tournaments. Snoop Dogg is putting on it's ex-NFL ball players against veterans who have PTSD and those types of things. And it's a nice fundraiser. I'll be doing that. And then a couple other events as well. Greg Bell has athletes for life. And we've got some teammates coming out. We're all going to go up there and do some events. It'll be nice.
Well, listen, my friend, make sure you enjoy it. I mean, the Rams, only the second team, and it's just amazing. It's 2 years in a row that get to host the Super Bowl in their backyard with the Buccaneers doing it last year. So I want to wish the Rams, I know you're pulling for them real hard. I want to wish them the best of luck in the Super Bowl, and I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedule to join us tonight.
All right. Larry, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, my friend, and stay safe.
All right. You too. God bless.
You too.
Bye-bye.
That was Brett Faryniarz, former NFL linebacker who played for the LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, Houston Oilers, and for those people in Carolina, the Carolina Panthers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. Remind you all that tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, you can listen to this show on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. That's right, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. And for all of you that are listening on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Northeast Streaming Sports, we want to thank you so very, very much. But we also want to remind you we are also on Roku TV or Roku TV. And it's very simple. If you have a smart TV, go to Roku, download Northeast Streaming Sports, and not only do you get to watch Frankly Speaking Sports 9 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, but you also get to watch a bunch of other shows, 15, 16 other shows throughout the week that Northeast Streaming Sports provides you with. So make sure, once again, go to Roku TV, download Northeast Streaming Sports, and get a fun, full, packed menu of sports shows. You're going to love it. You will love it. Also want to remind everyone that is listening on every other platform but Tobacco Road Sports Radio, there will be no show tomorrow due to a personal situation I got to attend to, but there will be a show Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time as regularly scheduled. For those of you that listen to us Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, there will be no show at that time. We will return on Thursday at 11 a.m. Folks, we are about 3 minutes away from having former New Orleans Saints quarterback John Fourcade on with us. Let's go ahead, take a break, and we'll do a couple commercials. And when we come back, we'll be minutes away from having John Fourcade on. We'll be back right after this.
We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that's you? The new boy has Mike Tyson. Look like a bulldog. He bad in him too. He done whip Mike Tyson there. He whip all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something wonderful. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but got it out.
You are watching Frankly Speaking Sports, live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank. So far, great show. Brett Faryniarz was unbelievable, giving us information. Played with the great Kevin Green. Just lots and lots of great information from him. We are about a minute away from having John Fourcade on with us. So we should have him clicking in here in just a moment. But, once again, we're going to have a great game, and we're going to go ahead. A lot of next week is going to be dedicated to the Super Bowl. We're going to try to get people from Cincinnati Bagels, from the LA Rams on with us throughout the week. But we're looking forward to a great, great week. But we have a lot going on in the world of sports. Remember, baseball is only a couple of weeks away, barring that they don't stay locked out. We haven't heard anything different. We will keep you posted on that. But a fun week. And like I said, we're about a minute away from having John Fourcade on with us. We'll be having him join us in one moment as we just go ahead and work on a couple of background screens here for a moment. There we go. All right. You see, I do all right sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor, thrill, and pleasure to introduce to you former New Orleans Saints quarterback and sports commentator at ESPN New Orleans. He is the host and radio host at the John Fourcade Show. Let's introduce John Fourcade. John, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well. How are you? It's a little chilly down here in the state of Louisiana, but I'm happy. I'm thrilled. It's not snowing.
Let me ask you this before we even get into some things about the New Orleans Saints and about the games that were played this weekend. I had to ask you this because growing up, I got to watch Archie Manning as a quarterback, and I know that you had the thrill of fulfilling breaking a record of him. How fulfilling was it to break that at Ole Miss, the total yards gain record by passing Archie Manning?
Well, Larry, you know as well as I do, records can be made broken. And the way football went over the years, I ran the ball a lot in college back in late 70s, early 80s, split back veer. We threw the ball, but nowhere near the throwing that they do nowadays. And I'll say this much. Sooner or later, somebody's going to break records. I did break Archie's records, quite a few of them, and I held it for a while. And you know as well as I do, Eli Manning came over, took care of my records, but he did leave me one record. I really appreciate that. I do have the most interceptions in one season. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm in the record books for that.
Hey, you're still in the books, right? That's what counts. Let me ask you this, John. 1987, I remember you playing because there's not anybody on my show that I don't remember from when I was a kid, believe it or not. And obviously I remembered you, but in 1987, that was the year, if I remember correctly, that the players went on strike and you elected to go ahead and play as a replacement player during that time or with the replacement players. And then afterwards, when they came back, you actually made the roster for the Saints. Talk about that experience, but I want to know, how were you received when the players came back? Because you and I both know when you're an NFL player and you go on strike, you want obviously your other members to go on. Was there any animosity between you and the team, or was it handled professionally?
Well, I'll say how it all started out. In 1986, I went to training camp. We had myself, Dave Wilson, Richard Todd, and Bobby Hebert. We were the four quarterbacks in 86. In preseason of 86, I pretty much outshowed those guys, but I got released. I wasn't very happy. I was dejected. I said, okay, so the heck with it. I went back and, I was down, depressed. I didn't know what to do. So I got into high school coaching, and then the strike hit, obviously, in 87. So I got a phone call from Mr. Finks, Jim Finks, and he needed to fill the rosters, and he was going back to some of the players that he knew of. And obviously he knew of me. I was quarterbacking with them in 86 in training camp. And I told Mr. Fink point blank, I'm not coming back to the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to the Oakland Raiders. I had my general manager from when I was in Canada, was working with the staff of the Oakland Raiders. And he called me and said, hey, we want you to come out here. Al Davis wants you to come out here. And I said, what's my chance to make in the ball club? He says, Johnny, you perform, you do well. We'll give you the opportunity. You're going to be the quarterback if you come out to the Raiders. And I'm at the airport. I dropped my brother off to Saints camp in 87, and I left. Mr. Finks was asking my brother, where's John? Where's John? And he said, well, John's going to Oakland. So Mr. Finks tracked me down at the airport. He came and chatted with me. And I said, Mr. Finks, listen, I thought I played well enough in 86 to be on the football club. I'm not saying start. I should have made that team after my performance in training camp. He said, look, a lot of things happen. I understand this, that, and the other. And I said, why should I come back to the Saints? He said, well, I'm going to promise you this. You come here, play with us, you will start for us in the strike season. I said, can you guarantee me that? Mr. Finks, you're the GM, but you're not the coach. Jim Moore is coaching. Well, we sat there way before my plane left, and he convinced me, sure enough, that I was going to get an opportunity to play. I didn't want to leave New Orleans. It's my hometown. So, yeah, we drove back. I called the Oakland Raiders and said, I changed my mind. I'm going to go to New Orleans. I was in training camp with him. I pretty much know everything. Sure enough, when I got there, he pretty much told Jim Moore, this is just the quarterback in the strike season. Well, we started out against the Rams, and we beat the Rams. I do have one of the funniest plays of all time. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I'm going to show it in a minute. I'm going to show it. Actually, while you bring that up, let's go ahead and show it now, okay?
All right, go ahead. 1987 against the Rams, right before the half, I threw a Hail Mary, got picked off. They ran it back. The guy fumbled it. The defensive lineman picked it up. He was crossing the field. I scooped it up. You get ready to see it here in a second. Here it is. I dropped back. I threw it up. It wasn't a great throw anyhow. It was right before the half. He got picked off. Young man's running it back. You can see happens here. And he's going to fumble right here. And when he fumbles it, the defensive lineman picks it up. Now he's crossing the field. And I am right there, the last guy between him and the goal line. Well, here comes the wide receiver, Brett Perryman, behind, picks it. I scoop it up, 85 yards for a touchdown. And, it made the NFL's greatest 100 touchdowns, as well as one of the top follies in NFL history. So I made 2 follies, and it was something that happened that will never take it away from me. And I got that chance. We won that game. The following week, we went to St. Louis. I got hurt in the game in St. Louis, but didn't come out. Played with a bad leg. St. Louis beat us. This was when they played in St. Louis, the Cardinals. And in that game, they ran back 2 blocked field goals to beat us. They had 107 yards of total offense. We were well over 400, and we lost the game. Well, the week after that, we played Mike Dick and the Chicago Bears, and guess who was on the sideline as a quarterback? His name was Sean Payton. And he didn't start, but as the game was going, they were losing. They put him in. He didn't play very well, threw a pick. Dick pulled him. We ended up beating the Chicago Bears in Chicago. We got back home, and that's when the Saints had their meeting. Strike was over with. Well, they didn't know what was going to happen. They kept 6 of us. I was one of them, obviously, tight end, a few other players, DBs. So they kept 6 of us on the roster. They expanded the roster. Then I had to deal with the players because, when we were out in the parking lot, those 3 games that we played for the strike season, it was tough going back and forth to your car. You can call names, things of that nature. But people don't realize, in that 87 strike season, we had a lot of veterans players from the Saints who crossed over as well and played in that. Nobody remembers this. Joe Montana crossed over and played for the 49ers. There were a bunch of other big-name players. It was the worst strike season of the NFL Players Association with the players. They were doing this on because Upshaw was telling them this, and he was lying to all these guys. They told us that after it was over. I'm in the locker room for the first time with all the veteran guys that came back who were already on the Saints. We went 2-1. Could have easily lost 3 games. Yep. That would have knocked them totally out of the playoffs. Well, the group of guys realized that, hey, this guy played. He kept us in it. I got to be good friends with a bunch of players. And I'm going to tell you right point blank, the older guys, mostly the linemen, a couple other guys, they were distant to me, but they liked me, but they understood that I was crossing the line, screwing them up. But they really realized, Larry, that That strike should never happen. They should never stop playing those players. And it took about a couple of weeks for them to realize we have a good football club here. And this group of players for the strike season kept us at the top of our division. We went 15-3. I mean, was it 14-3 or something like that? 13-3. So we won one last game we played, and we had a great record. Only had 3 losses. But guess what? We the wild card team because the 49ers had 2 losses.
Right.
And so they win the division. We go in as a wild card team. Those players still respected the fact I was there. I did what I had to do. They knew me from the 86 season. I had some disagreement, not disagreement. I had some, I was, what do you call it, stone-faced against. They didn't talk a lot, but as the season went along, all of them would talk to him. We got along great. They knew what kind of guy I really were. I know how those guys, they understood. They came and apologized. A bunch of them apologized for all that happened. They were grateful that I was there to get them with the wins, and not just with myself, the other guys that were with me. And then as the season went on, we get to the playoffs. Our first time ever having winning the season, first time ever making the playoffs. And in the playoffs, I don't get to play. I get inactive. Jim Finks was livid. He was in the press box while I was there. He said, "What are you doing up here?" So Finks, they inactive, and we got beat 44-10. And the rest is history because I stuck around 3 more years, and I had a golden opportunity. The last season, I blew out my elbow on the last play in a playoff game against the Bears, throwing a Hail Mary. This time it wasn't picked. It was just the end of the game, Hail Mary, and tore up my shoulder and my rotator cuff, and that pretty much ended my NFL career.
I want to talk a little bit about the Saints this year.
Right.
And I know you cover the Saints. You got your show and everything. The Saints lose Drew Brees before the year for retirement. Jameis Winston goes down. Do we have any idea next year who the quarterback may be for the New Orleans Saints?
I tell you, when Winston went down, people were praising this and that. You look at his stats. It wasn't the greatest stats, but they were winning. Okay, he didn't have the greatest stats. He didn't do as bad as he did when he was in Tampa. He played within Sean Payton's game plan. The Saints won by defense, controlling the ball, not turning it over. They were playing well. Winston didn't put up fantastic. He never broke 200 one time in the games that they played, throwing the football. But they win. They won. So with all that being said, now he got hurt. They want to push for Hill. Hill is a fantastic athlete. We all know that. He's not an NFL quarterback. Everybody will tell you that. They know he can do a lot. They can come in spurts. Don't get me wrong. He can come in probably 5 or 6 plays and do something as a quarterback, but he's not going to be your everyday 24/7, 17 games a year quarterback. All right, he got hurt. He's so. The other young man, we all know Simeon. He's been around. Trevor didn't do anything to say that I need to be the quarterback. So their quarterback of the future, to me, is not on the roster. And Brooks, the young kid from Notre Dame, he was a deer in headlights. And I understand what it was against the Dolphins. It was bad for him. But you asked me, is the quarterback on this roster? And someone today on my show was going bananas about saying, well, everybody's talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, this, that, and the other. I said, have you checked out Jimmy Garoppolo's record as a starting quarterback? It's better than a bunch of other quarterbacks in the NFL. I will take Jimmy Garoppolo over anybody the New Orleans Saints has. If the Saints want to go out and get Jimmy Garoppolo, they got to find him a veteran quarterback if they want to go that route. Even if they draft one, you better have a veteran quarterback here. Now, the other thing would be if Winston comes back and you think he's okay from the ACL, then sign him to a 1-year deal, draft you a higher quarterback, or trade for one that you feel that can be the quarterback of the future. But right now, I don't see them with this roster with one of these quarterbacks that's starting 2022 as your NFL starter. No, go get a quarterback.
Now, to add fuel to the fire, Sean Payton steps down as the coach of the Saints. Do we have any idea, first, who the new coach is going to be? And second of all, I mean, this is just an opinion of yours, when Payton or if Payton decides to come back and coach, which I think he will, where do you see maybe the destination he might go?
Well, let's talk first about, you said who might be the coach, who I feel like and who I think it is, but they have to go by, quote, the Rooney Rule to interview minorities. I perfectly understand that. But I think, and everybody else thinks, it's going to be Dennis Allen. Why not? He's been here for a long time with the Saints. They love him here. The players love him here. He's got that defense under control. I think you go ahead and you keep Dennis Allen, but you got to get a good offensive coordinator. People say, what about Pete Carmichael? Well, Pete Carmichael's been here a long time, and nobody's wanting him as a head coach anywhere in the NFL. Sort of like Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City. They get the title of being an offensive coordinator. They don't call the plays. That's the problem with Pete Carmichael. I don't know if he's going to be their answer, but if Dennis Allen's the head coach here, he will go out and get him a better or a suitable guy with some experience as the offensive coordinator, and they got to find a quarterback. Now, let's deal with Sean Payton. Sean Payton, 15, 16 years here, 15 as coaching, 16 as being here. He had to sit out the 1 year. The man needed a break. He understood what's going on. There's $70 million over the cap. That's a problem. No quarterback. That's a problem. No offensive line, receiving core is thin. I'm not saying that's why he left. He just got to the point where it's time to leave. Bill Collier did it. I could have saw this year. Mike Tomlin could have probably done it. Jim Moore left. He was at the peak that I've been here long enough. Some guys get someplace long enough. All right. He's leaving. I think he's going to go to the press box, announce some games, or be in a studio for maybe a year or two, and he becomes back. But I'll say this. People say he's going to Dallas. Only way he goes to Dallas if Jerry Jones is not involved with the operations, because Sean Payton's got to have control. I don't know if Steven and Jerry Jones will give up the control to Sean Payton. He's from Chicago, but they just got a new head coach. So if it is going to be Dallas, he likes Dallas. He's been there. I believe that they're going to have to give up something to get him. And plus, if he does in the next year or so, they have to compensate the New Orleans Saints with some draft picks because he's 2 years under contract left with the Saints. You just can't walk away and go to Dallas without Dallas giving up. And I'm sure Dallas will give up something if they can get Sean Payton. If Sean Payton can get a conversation with them saying, I got to have some authority over who's playing on his ball club.
Let's stay in the NFC South a minute with the Saints. And I say if because who knows what's going to happen with Tom Brady, but let's just say for argument's sake, he does retire. Does this just open up the NFC South for anybody to take?
Yeah, you got to be careful of this. If he leaves, there's no quarterback in Tampa. Carolina, I don't know what's going to go on with Carolina. I think they still got to give Donald a chance. I think they just gave up one. I'm going to be telling you honestly, I don't like the coach of Carolina. I think he has no idea what's going on. He's over his head. The Atlanta Falcons will scare me. If Ryan is back and they can fix up some little holes there, that's the team you got to watch out for because they will have Ryan back. If he doesn't come back, then you got the Atlanta Falcons looking for quarterback, Tampa Bay looking for quarterback, Carolina might be looking for one, and then you have the Saints. Saints got the best defense of all of them because I think guys in Tampa will be leaving that defense. They got a great defense, but I think some players will be leaving. But the Saints are a salary cap strap right now. They're going to be some wheeling and dealing, but it's a toss-up in the South. I'm sorry to say this, but I can't say the Saints could be the number one team. It's a toss-up. And if Atlanta's getting their players back, you got to watch out for Atlanta.
Yeah, and I agree with you about Tampa Bay, especially if Brady retires, because a lot of those players stayed for less money to play with Tom Brady. I agree with you. I think a lot of them are going to go for the money this year wherever they can make it. But talk about these two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford, Joey Burrows. What do you think about these two quarterbacks? And do you like them? Do you not like them?
No. How do you not like these guys? First of all, let's talk about Stafford. Stafford's been around a long time. The poor guy was in Detroit. I'm thrilled and happy. I thought at the beginning of the year, when they beat Tampa Bay, second game of the season, I said, that is going to be one half of the Super Bowl. I had Buffalo Bills. The idiots couldn't count what 13 seconds was, so they blew that game. I really believe that the Rams got some pieces, put it together. Excuse me. I like the Rams. They got a solid defense. They got some players on that side of the football. It's going to be a battle. I'm going to flip over to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, his uncle, Johnny Burrow, played with me for 4 years at Ole Miss. He was our starting free safety. I know the Burrow family very well. We've been friends since 1978, so I know the whole family. I got to pull for the Burrows because it's my buddy Joe's and his dad's, the father of Joe Burrow is an ex-ball player, played in the Canadian League. He was went to school in Nebraska. He's coached some football. They got a family tradition of athletes. So I'm going with the Bengals, and I think Joe Burrow is going to win the Heisman, the NCAA championship with LSU. He's going to win the Super Bowl. That's a feat that's never been hit before by anybody in the NFL.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. You said you've known the family for a long time, John. Did you ever think, obviously this last year of LSU, he obviously, everybody noticed Joe Burrow. But did you ever know beforehand or felt like he had the potential to be a great NFL quarterback?
When I first saw him, my nephew is a quarterback that was at Nichols who shattered all the Southland Conference records and things of that nature. I'm trying to get him in the USFL right now. They have the Archie Manning, or should I say the Manning's passing camp. And Joe Burrow showed up out there. I didn't know who Joe Burrow was. Everybody's talked about it. We've interviewed him. Never seen him first. I know the name. I know the relatives. I know his uncle. I haven't seen him in person. The guy walked out there. He was just, like a guy on a surfer. He looked cool as could be. He walks out there. We don't know what to expect. And next thing you know, he's tearing up the Manning's passing camp. He is such an accurate passer. He don't have the cannon, but that don't win Super Bowls. That's, Brady don't have a cannon. Let's be honest. Russell Wilson doesn't have a cannon. But he's got a good enough passing on that he's won games with it. Obviously, it shows you. But that's when I saw him and I said, this guy's going to be something. Mike Detillier, one of my radio and TV partners down here, everybody knows Mike Detillier. We sat there and we talked about it and we discussed it. I said, Mike, this kid's going to be an awesome job for LSU. He should be an awesome job to do at LSU. And he did it his junior year under some circumstances. But when he came back and did his senior year at LSU, it'll never be matched. And now look what he did. It was a shame he got hurt his rookie season in Cincinnati, but the guy came back less than a 9-month rehab and hasn't missed a beat right now. And he's got beaten up and pounded on. But Jesus God, do you know Jamar Chase, the wide receiver, is personally friends with my cousin quarterback? They played together 4 years in high school, and my nephew was his quarterback. And Chase, compared Burrows to my nephew, so it worked out fine when they threw the ball and they did this and that because they still worked out in the offseason together, my nephew with Jamar Chase. But that combination of Chase and Burrow, I mean, just think about it, Odell Beckham and Stafford, LSU quarterback and a Georgia quarterback, an LSU quarterback and an LSU receiver. It's going to be a heck of a football game.
Yeah, and, you mentioned something. I got a couple more questions. We'll let you run, John. But you mentioned a great point. You talked about Joey getting hurt last year. I was never in favor. I'd love to get a quarterback's perspective from this, but you take these young kids out of college, some of them still developing to be, men still. They're not fully grown, and they're put on teams where they have no protection, no offensive line. Do you feel like, and I mean, even Joey Burrows, he's done great, but he got hurt because they didn't have an offensive line. Do you feel like maybe some of these quarterbacks that come out should sit a little bit before they get that opportunity and let them solidify that offensive line before they go in and just get the crap beat out of them?
I say it's the two-answer question here is this. Yeah, we like to see that, but if you don't have a backup quarterback who goes in there and he can get the crap beat out of him and they don't win and stuff, it puts a bad taste in people's mouth. And then your owner says, wait a second, we draft this kid number one. You got to play him. We want to see what he plays. But when you do that, my take is when you draft a quarterback and doggone well you don't have that line play. But I think the best move they did was with Burrows was go get Chase. After that, I'm getting nothing but linemen. I'm trading for linemen. I'm doing whatever it takes to protect that guy. I see your point about something. Look, Burrows was really ready to play in the NFL. I think Mac Jones was ready to play in the NFL. I'm not sure that the kid from Utah for BYU was quite ready, but they had nothing in New York. All right, and he can move around. Things that might save them. The kid Lance that played at North Dakota State, my nephew had played against him. I went to the game up there. He didn't impress me. You're not going to tell me he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Look what Garoppolo record this season. I'll take Garoppolo on my team. But you look at these rookie guys, and then you got, obviously, who you had, Trevor Lawrence, him over in the Jacksonville. that poor guy got to take a – but it's all about who you have behind him to play. All right, you could have played Minshew and let him go get destroyed, but you put a lot of money into him. But the problem is these guys put a lot of money on their quarterback, and then they want to go grab anybody else, realize, wait a second, I don't have a line to protect these number one prize possession. And that's the problem I see. You know, I can see that perfectly clear what you're saying. Some teams got to do it, and he lucked out in Cincinnati that he came back from the injury. Look, he got sacked 9 times against Tennessee. How the hell he won that football game? But then again, like someone said, you can get 9 sacks all you want, but guess what? They still got the next down or the next down to complete a pass to do something. I like what they said, that I want interceptions, I want fumbles. You take all the sacks you want. That's great and everything, but you still got to have second down, third down, and maybe a fourth down. But 9 sacks, he can't live non-sack. Against Kansas City, who I thought got a better defense than Tennessee, I think he was sacked 1 time, and that's the difference of the game. It's going to come and go, but look, you pay all that money for that number 1 draft pick. You like to see him sit maybe a couple of games to get him feet wet and everything, and then put him in like they did, with Mac Jones for a little while. He was kind of waiting behind what's the name, Cam the Scam. That didn't work out, and they just said, Mac, you're our quarterback. And a lot of these guys, if you had a program, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, you're going to be able to smart enough quarterback. You go in there and play, and they got to protect these guys. And when you get these top quarterbacks, protect them.
Yeah, and I agree. All right, I think I know your answer to my last question as you mentioned it, but who you taking in the Super Bowl?
I'm going to take the 4.5 points and go with Cincinnati. Not that I'm going to put a few dollars on it, but yeah, I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals and Burrow.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, we're running out of time, but I want to thank you so very much for joining us on Frankly Speaking Sports tonight.
Appreciate it. Anytime you want, just give me a buzz, Larry. Let me know next time you want to have me on.
All right, I appreciate you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. That was John Fourcade, former New Orleans Saints quarterback and sports commentator at ESPN New Orleans. You can also catch him as the host and radio host at the John Fourcade Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we ran a little bit late, but we had an incredible show for you tonight. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in on all our different platforms this evening. And I want to remind you once again, Tuesday night, there will be no show. We're tending to a personal situation. And then we will be back Wednesday night. That's right. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on all the same channels, all the same places. On behalf of all of us here at Frankly Speaking Sports, we want to thank you so very, very much for tuning in this evening. And we'll see you Wednesday night. Good night.